This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means. It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Black Friday week starting November 21st.
Gift the remarkable with Marc Jacobs fragrances this holiday season. From the iconic Daisy and Perfect to the all-new Daisy Wild, Marc Jacobs perfume gift sets include everything she needs to feel special. From her favorite fragrance, plus the matching travel spray. Holiday gifts don't get much more perfect than this. So if you're looking for a gift inspiration these holidays, gift the remarkable with Marc Jacobs.
What's going on, everybody? It's ImmaLetYouFinish, show number 207 on the Pantheon Podcast Network with your host, Court and Amy. Ames, take it away.
Oh, okay. Well, hello, everybody. Courtney and I have switched voices. He now has the sexy phone sex voice, and I'm relatively back to normal. We are very excited because our guest in a little bit is going to be Rob Sheffield, a wonderful, wonderful music critic who's going to talk about his new book, Heartbreak is the National Anthem, How Taylor Swift Reinvented Pop Music. But before we get to that, I don't know about you. I don't drink, but for those of you who do drink, something tells me you might need some gummies for a hangover because something tells me people are going to be drinking solid for the next 4 years. So, one of our wonderful, wonderful products that you can buy and get a 20% discount is Liqueur. Liquure. Isn't that cute? And it's gummies that help prevent hangovers. They're science-based, which is science is good because we won't have science anymore in the next 4 years because it's all going to be instinct and people who have brains eaten by worms. It promotes alcohol metabolism. That also sounds good. But you know what? You get a 20% discount if you go on IMMA, IMMA 5967. We will post the link. Liqueur. Party on, Wayne. Hey, Courtney.
Hey.
You really sound like I was on vocal rest for like 4 days.
Well, I just got off my Ass Chaps of Love tour, so I don't have any voice. I've been singing for 3 months straight. It's been so much.
It's a lot. You know, my neighbors who have the dog that I'm basically the dog's aunt, when he was getting fixed, he had to be in this little sling. And a friend of theirs says, "Oh my God, he looks like he's wearing assless chaps." And I'm like, okay.
He opened for me on 3 of the dates.
Did he poop outside your door like he does for me?
He was great.
I know he's great. He's very cute. All right. So 2 music events happened this week, one of which we don't really care about much just because we're American. But the other one we do care about a lot. And we're also going to talk with Rob a little bit. But one of them is.
Well, one of them we don't care about because it's irrelevant, just like the one that happens here.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And also, nobody knew. It's one of those you wake up and go, really?
I started seeing things come across social media. I was like, oh, is that? And my first thing was like, oh, when is it? Oh, it's happening now? Oh,
it's happening as we speak. Yes. So the MTV European Music Awards, I will say I do like the fact that they have awards for each like continent. Like there's the best Australian artist, the best like South Asian on the right-hand side of the street artist. It's like all over the place. Where last night, and hold for it, Taylor Swift won everything again.
Oh, did she?
Yes, she won. What did she win? The best live act, which I got to say, I've heard that this is true. She won the best video Fortnite with Post Malone. By the way, Post Malone is like, oh my God. Like he's on the new Dwight Yoakam record. You know I love Dwight Yoakam. He's everywhere. He's become like the new like Pharrell. Like put him on the hook and we'll have a hit. She won Best Artist. She won just Best Human Being in the entire world. Yeah, she won a lot of things. Tyler won Best Afro Beats. I still want to know when they added the S. When did they add the S to Afro Beats?
Well, it's two different things, right? Afro Beats is this hip hop version, and Afro Beat is Fela and the Nigerian music.
The older stuff.
And here's the other part. Tyler, who is not Afro Beat. Her music is not Afro Beat.
It's not Afro Beat. Well, she also won proving that the best R&B record as well. Best R&B artist. Whatever. Okay, here's where so the best rock record was won by Liam Gallagher because it was held in Manchester, so of course. The global icons were Busta Rhymes got Global Icon. I agree. And our Pet Shop Boys won the Pop Pioneer Award, which, duh.
And I believe, I think they were scheduled to perform, so I'm assuming they performed.
They did perform. Okay, here's where I completely like Europe. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Eminem won for Best Hip Hop. He put out like a horrible record. But I guess they go, oh, Eminem. Who else? Collaboration, Lisa featuring Rosalia. Don't know who.
Rosalia.
I don't know who Lisa is.
She's Blackpink, the group Blackpink, and she struck out on her own.
Okay, Espresso was the best song. Okay, this is insanity. Alternative, Imagine Dragons. Really? When you have Fontaines DC, who are a European group. Calvin Harris, Best Electronic. Did he put out something this year?
I guess so.
Brendan Boone, Best New Artist. Sure. Pop artist, Ariana Grande. Yeah, so that's basically it. So congratulations to all the winners. I mean, yes, congratulations to all the winners.
It's like if irrelevancy was a pizza. The MTV EMAs, you know.
On so many, maybe they play videos in Europe. I don't know. I mean,
I think it's the same everywhere. It's like people may make videos, but no one's watching. Like they're shutting down. MTV Canada is literally shutting down. They just announced that they're ending broadcast.
Oh well. Okay. So the big news music-wise was, of course, the Grammys nominations were announced last week. Mm-hmm. Contrary to our prediction, Dua Lipa got completely screwed. Nothing. Not even best really good-looking tall Albanian singer. Like nothing.
But nothing else was really a surprise. We said Sabrina Carpenter. We said Chappell Roan. We thought Beyonce, Taylor Swift. It kind of feels unremarkable.
Andre 3000.
Okay, that was a weird one because
per album. Okay,
let's talk about it.
Okay, let's hold on. Let me take a drink of water. Go.
It just feels like I don't understand what's happening. So first of all, let's go with record of the year, okay? Because this is another one. The Beatles, Then and Now. Like, can you even hum that song? I can't even hum the melody of that song.
Me neither.
I couldn't tell you anything about it. That to me is the weird one. But then Texas Hold'em, okay, that was a hit. Espresso, 360, which is Charlie, Birds of a Feather, Not Like Us, Good Luck Babe, Fortnite. That kind of seems correct.
Right, but again, so you're going to get into the argument.
It's weird how
is it chart? But that song made no impact. The Beatles song, not even culturally,
zero.
It was exciting for like, oh my God, look, they found.
It was exciting at the thought that there was a new Beatles song. Then we realized, well, AI helped finish it and all of that. Yeah, then it became another weird story, and it
was not, and it wasn't even all of them. All right,
okay, now let's go to album of the year. So it's New Blue Sun. Okay.
Flute Man.
Cowboy Carter, Short and Sweet, Brat, Jesse, Volume 4, Hit Me Hard and Soft, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest. Jacob Collier, people really like him, and he's been nominated before his album before it was nominated. And Taylor Swift, Torture's Poet, which is not her best album.
No,
but I feel like now they just automatically put her in that category.
She's the white Aretha Franklin.
You know, where kind of like there was that stretch where it wasn't like 7 years in a row that Aretha just kept winning Best R&B Vocalist until
And
Natalie Cole came along and broke that streak.
The Andre 3000 one, to me, is a desperate attempt to look cool.
It's a really weird stretch.
And here's what's weird. It could win. Stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened, but I don't think it'll win. I definitely don't think they're going to turn around and give it to Taylor Swift again, because that would be ridiculous. I actually think if we're talking about impact.
Yeah. Chappell Roan.
Chappell Roan is the people's princess, right? The fans. I don't know if she's the industry's princess. I think that this could be. Brat was really impactful.
Yeah.
And they love Billie Eilish.
They do.
And this was a strong record for her. Yes,
it was. It was.
I don't know if it would be Cowboy Carter, because I don't know, that one just, the thing about Cowboy Carter is after Texas Hold'em, which was a number one on the country chart and 2 weeks at number one on the Hot 100, we didn't get much traction out of anything else. And I saw that they tried to do some other focus singles, but without any real sort of traction across the board. I don't know.
Split up her nominations a lot to kind of hedge, because they put that song that we both thought should have been a single, Bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
So they put that in a category. Okay, here's the thing with the Beyonce record. If she wins, it makes them look good. If she doesn't win, it makes them look bad. How much of this is going to be voting on the, oh my God, we better fucking give her this award?
Yeah, but this is the difference. Once you get out of those committees, it goes out to everybody who can vote.
Right.
And I don't think that's the way a lot of people are going to vote, because, we just need to give it to her. I think this is where I don't know if it helps. When we come in, right, and now the story around it is, now she's the most nominated person in Grammy history, and she's also the winningest person. Right. So when you keep leading with that, I think you have a lot of people who feel like if you say something out loud, you're seen as like a hater. How could you not like Beyonce? But how I feel like they always express themselves is in the vote, because nobody will ever know who you really voted for. And I don't think, while I think that this is an important record for her in her canon, this is not her best work, right?
No, it's not.
And I think if she gets it now, it feels like, everybody got scolded last year.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like an authentic, this should be the album
it feels like okay, now go away award.
Right.
You stop complaining and go away, even though it's a very good record. I really think in a lot of ways, Chappell Roan, I would be happy, except for Andre 3000. I'm sorry, no disrespect, but come on. Come on. That's just,
if we really want to be honest, it should be Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
That album was huge. It was those singles are huge.
I think
and she's dominated.
I think, but again, this is the same organization that gave it to Beck one year. They gave it to Steely Dan one year. They gave it to Herbie Hancock for records that had critical acclaim but didn't sell a lot. Arcade Fire, they didn't sell a ton of records, but they were important. I think Chappell Roan I would vote for Chappell Roan for Good Luck Babe. I think that is and all those songs are great. And Charlie XCX is also broken up into lots of different categories. So she's not always, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? I think it's a very strange arrangement. I think Shabuzi will win for sure. He's in. Yeah,
he's
I don't know.
Best New Artist. He's got some country nominations.
But so is Chappell Roan.
Yeah.
And so is Sabrina Carpenter on her 6th album.
Shabuzi's on his 3rd album. Chappell.
This is her first album.
I believe it's her first album. Charlie XCX, this is her fifth album.
Yeah, she's been around for a while too.
You know, so we'll see.
This whole concept of when I became aware of you really is like
it's
that's
some
like
new
saying
weird shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you've been out for 100. Well, I guess that's the argument for the Beatles. Like, this is when I became aware of you.
Well, it's ridiculous because Best New Artist used to be you were a new artist. It should not. This all started the first time that somebody won Best New Artist, who it was on like their sixth album, was Shelby Lynn. Remember when I Am Shelby Lynn became a mainstream record? And so she was nominated for Best New Artist. And it was like, but this is like her sixth album. So I think that category was starting to play a little fast and loose with it. And Cowboy Carter getting a country album of the year nom. I'm really curious as to what people in country think about that. Because you and I talk about it all the time. I think it was a country influenced album. I do not think it's a country album.
Should have been an Americana.
I think it's a Beyonce album with country influence.
It should have. I think if they were going to do anything, it should have been
Americana.
Yeah. I know. I just like Chappell Roan, I think. But yeah, the Andre.
I think Chappell Roan is going to, I believe she'll probably win. Like this is the kind of story people like. She got dropped from a label. She's out there working. And now she did the thing that all artists do who've been out there working and you blow up. Now you fire your manager and you're looking for new management. And not the person who helped build you up and believed in you when you were out there trying to make shit happen.
It's the equivalent of the trophy wife, right? The woman who stood by you when you were in college and supported your monkey ass when you were making no money, and then you make money and like, bye.
And you're like, look, there's a hot one. I want that one.
Really?
I want that one. All right, why don't you introduce well, let's take a break here.
We'll take a break.
And we're going to come back with our guest, Rob Sheffield. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Look, there's a man on our screen.
Hello.
Rob Sheffield. Hey. Okay, this is yet another situation of like, how the fuck have we never met? But you're in a higher plane than I am, Rob. Though I did see you at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame about when Roxy Music got inducted from far away, but I didn't feel like running over like a geek. Rob
when
Sheffield,
you put on makeup and a dress because you thought that Brian Ferry was going to notice you and you were going to leave with him and he was going to be your husband.
Well, just notice me.
It could happen. It could happen. Amy, I've been a fan of yours since the 80s.
Don't make me that old.
When you were a child.
I've been in the 80s, baby.
When you were a child. When you were writing about Roxanne Shante in Spin magazine in the 80s. Oh, my God.
Yes, I was a mere child. I was a prodigy. I was a savant. Like, I was out of Montessori school writing critical lit. Anyway, Rob Sheffield is an award-winning writer and a cool dude and has written a new book, which, first off, can I just say I love the design because you can fit it in your purse.
I like that, right?
Right, it's great. Heartbreak is the national anthem. Great title, by the way. How Taylor Swift invented pop music. So welcome to our little dog and pony. I was telling Courtney when I saw that you started liking our stuff, I said, oh my God, people who actually can like have bank accounts and can write like our show.
Are you kidding? This podcast is legendary.
Yeah, keep it going, Rob. All right, I want to tell you.
Legends doing legend things.
We're legending up. We're leveling up with our legending. First off, any quick thoughts on the Grammy nominations? Perfect.
Yeah, okay. There sure are Grammy nominations.
God.
That's how I feel. It's like, look, surprising, Grammy. Shocking.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look, they're nominating a bunch of people who sold a lot of records, and one guy be like Andre 3000, who probably won't even remember to show up. Okay.
I love what you said about Best New Artist and about how. At this point, it's rare for it to go to a new artist.
Right. It's kind of like, oh, my God, I just want to thank the fan base who's been here for my 72 albums before this. I mean, thank you so much.
I'm old enough to remember in 87 when it was won by Jody Watley.
Yes.
Who had already been on on the charts for 10 years with Shalimar.
But at least that literally was
solo.
her solo album. At least, you know what I mean? These other kids are coming with 5 or 6 solo albums by themselves, and then being like, "Oh my God, you're new."
Taylor Swift, there might be somebody somewhere in outer Mongolia who has not heard her records, and they could say she's the best new artist. All right, let me tell you the quote that really said, I will admit that not being a huge Taylor Swift fan. And the reason I wasn't a huge Taylor Swift fan, you encapsulate right here, Rob Sheffield, that she might expect too much from the song on the radio, might jump into a musical style where she doesn't fit, trying to make herself at home. That's how she got started. Country music wasn't her birthright, just something she heard in suburban Pennsylvania. Blah, 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 blah. She treats fandom as an art form. That's why she writes the kind of songs she writes. Taylor the fan is the truest Taylor. Everything else comes from that. Love that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because that's what drove me nuts about her when I used to see her. When she would stand up at dance at award shows, I wanted to jump into the TV. I'm sorry. It just was that sense of like, I'm really tall and I'm in the front row. I'm going to block everybody's view and do bad dancing. But she was always singing along with everybody's songs. So that to me was
and
really
always aware of the camera. This is what I always say about her. She's brilliant. She's a brilliant lady. She's always aware that people are watching. She's always in position. She's always got a perfect red lip. She knows you're looking from front, back, to side. You can tell she really, really enjoys it. I didn't become a Taylor Swift. I wouldn't call myself a huge fan, but I became an appreciator of her as she became an adult. I could care less about the early records. I understand those have a lot of hits and all of those things. Reputation is where she finally got my attention. And I was like, oh, I'm not upset with this. And I thought Lover was a great record. I really like that for her. But I think that I always try to understand her level of fame, right? Because she reminds me of Madonna in the sense where it's not the person who has the greatest voice, but they have a combination of everything that you can't explain that really speaks to people. And she has that in spades. Like, her fans are fanatical. What do you think that's about? And where does it come from?
Well, I think she writes songs that people relate to, hear themselves in. I think that has to do with the enthusiasm that Amy was talking about. She's a fan. She was someone who will stand up when she hears her favorite song and dance and sing. I think that's something that people respond to, and that's part of why they respond to it with enthusiasm, because they can tell that she's a pop fan who's got her own enthusiasm. She is a music geek's music geek. And I think people respond to that sense of unfiltered enthusiasm that she expresses.
I'm sorry, it also kind of backfired on her in the beginning. Well, you're a Swiftie of an unabashed Swiftie, which is unusual for a guy. Is that fair to say that it's unusual for guys to be Swifties?
Maybe that's probably true. Yes.
Yeah. It's unusual for critics to be Swifties. Is that fair?
Yes. It was very unusual back in the day. It was very difficult for her to get to get respect from critics, for sure.
But I think in the beginning, I mean, we always kind of forget how young she was, but in the beginning, the kind of like, I'm just hypercritical, obviously, but the kind of like, I won face would be like, come on, Taylor. That's like Michael Jordan being shocked that he hit a basket. It's like, we know you're going to hit a basket because you're Michael Jordan. But why don't you talk about why you did this book? Because this is not a bio of Taylor Swift, and it literally seems like you were writing it up until last week because you cover the Eras tour. So why don't you talk a little bit about what the inspiration for the book was, and because it seems to be like a love letter to the fans and the little girls loving her as much as it is to her herself.
Yeah, that's very kind of you. Thank you. It is true. The first time I saw her was on the Speak Now tour, which, in retrospect now, that seems like early days, but it already seemed crazy that she'd been famous so long. And it blew my mind how many little kids were in the audience. Now, she kept explaining to them how easy songwriting was and showing them her guitar and saying, like, yes, this is what I use to write songs about my feelings. And I kept thinking, wow, in 10 years, so much of the music I like is going to be from girls who were at this show and started writing their own songs. And that's pretty much the case. I mean, look at the Grammy nominations. There's a lot of people who started out as childhood Swifties on that list. And it's a thing where that has become the kind of thing that she was doing in the 2000s, when she was the only one doing it, really, like a young teenage girl with a guitar writing her own songs. And there's a long history of teen pop girls doing songs that were written for them by male producers or male Svengalis. She was doing it herself. And for me, wanted to write this just to sort of place her in music history and place her in the broader picture of how pop music has really changed while she's been around. And she's a huge reason why it's changed so much.
Why do you think that she engendered so much? She engenders on both sides of the equation. She engendered a lot of, even though she was selling tires, she engendered a lot of kind of hostility and kind of oh, this one. And then at the same time, she engenders a level of fandom that I see the Madonna connection, Courtney, but I think she's even I think that she is an unstoppable force. And maybe because she's still young enough that no one's judging her in terms of the age thing. But why do you think she engenders so much emotion? Why she can't just be listened to?
I don't know. Boy, if I had an answer for that, I definitely would have put it in the book. But I simply do not know. It's really kind of amazing that she's got this incredible power to punch buttons. The Madonna comparison is absolutely right on. She's got this power to divide people into love them and hate them extremely viscerally. You know, people who really dislike her or Madonna, it's almost like a primal thing. And that's something that's fascinating about her, and something that is continued. We haven't ever reached a point where she is just that Taylor, just another star. She's always somebody who punches people's buttons in an extreme way.
Which is interesting because she is more, in some ways, more representational of, I'm putting this in huge quotes, America than a lot of other artists. You know, I mean, her upbringing is, she's kind of comes from this squeaky clean, and certainly the country thing kind of insulated her from a lot of aggression because, country is viewed in different ways. But well, Courtney, you're way bigger. I'm a country music fan, but Courtney was raised with country music. I can't think of another country artist that has made the transition the way that she has.
No, it's really amazing. I mean, Garth Brooks, he dipped his toe in and it didn't work for him. Maybe because the whole Chris Gaines thing was not the best way to do it, maybe. But
I would say the closest was probably, well, you could say Shania, right? But Shania's music was always kind of like a pop country hybrid, if you really think about it. Dolly Parton dipped into pop, had big pop hits, but returned back to country and did not come back to pop. There's nobody like a Taylor Swift, right? Because she just kind of came out of nowhere. When she hit the pop stratosphere with 1989, it was kind of no going back, and then she kind of reminded people of her, of where she really came from when she did, was it Evermore and what did it in Folklore, when she kind of went back to that quieter singer-songwriter sort of style. But it's just one of those things you can't really explain that kind of fame. You can't plan that kind of fame. You can never sit in a room and say, we're going to go for the kind of world domination that she has. That is simply because whatever she is doing, there's something that connects and plugs into these fans that they kind of just feel it in a way that you cannot create. You just can't,
Yeah.
I think she's also like a real barometer because, another one of my issues with her in the beginning was I felt like she was peddling this sort of faux feminism, which really drove me nuts because you can't talk about being a girl's girl and then doing songs about, even though Katy Perry is somewhat hateable, I suppose. And then, the constantly going after Kim Kardashian, which was just like shooting fish in a barrel. And I was always sort of maybe I put too much expectation. I was always sort of like, why isn't she speaking out about things? But then when she did speak out, my whole sort of perception of her changed. And when she sued that guy, didn't she sue some radio guy for touching her or something
Yes.
creepy like that?
He groped her backstage.
Yeah.
Right. And I suddenly was like, okay. And then when she seized control from Scooter Braun, I feel like that's when it suddenly changed, when she suddenly was like, all right, now I am like a real force to be reckoned with. You know, what do you think about that?
Well, she didn't really seize control from Scooter Braun. She got into really fight with Scooter Braun. He bought her masters from Big Machine and then sold them off, you know. So she kind of kept her foot on his neck for a long time, which I kind of wasn't that upset about. I like a little listen, I know revenge. We're not supposed to be petty like that. But hi, my name is Petty Baker. I'm petty. Keep your spiked heel on his neck. I kind of enjoyed that for her. And I wasn't mad at her coming back at Kim and Katie either. She's very much like, you fuck with me, my pen game is lethal. I will write a song. It will be a hit, and you will have to hear it forever and know it's about you.
Absolutely. I love that. There's definitely a lot of that drama, and a lot of it is stuff that would have blown over fast if she ignored it. But there's definitely no precedent for somebody who announces they're going to remake all their old albums for just strictly personal reasons. And it's just kind of mind-blowing that she went to so much trouble when she announced that she was going to do that. I thought it was an empty threat because I thought there's no way she's going to spend that much time, that much money, that much effort to re-record her life's work in her spare time when she's already a fairly busy pop star. And it's just kind of mind-blowing that she set her mind to it and actually did it. And now, of course, the world is full of pop stars who wish that they'd done that earlier in their careers.
Didn't they try to do something I read somewhere that not Hollywood, what do you call like the music in, is there like an all-encompassing term for the music industry like Hollywood or Nashville? Anyway, those people tried to make it a contractual thing where you were not allowed to do that for like several years after the initial release of the record, because they saw like if she could get, I mean, could you imagine if every artist said, could you imagine if Prince were still around, what he would have done with that?
Well, a lot of people have.
Totally.
She's not the only one to re-record records. People have had to re-record stuff because of all of the rights and all of the things that happen. Which is why you'll notice sometimes you go on the DSPs and you'll hear a new version of something because artists want to get paid. Like I was reading something recently with Paula Cole, and I didn't realize on her 2 albums that she had when she was signed a major label that had all of her hits, she got no publishing on any of that. She's had to re-record those songs. So the music industry is literally the one industry where you're actively allowed to sign people into contracts where you know you're robbing and stealing from them. So I was never mad at her for doing it. And I love this. This is another thing that shows her power, that she's also gotten radio and the major radio networks to agree as she re-records these records to switch out the rotation records, her catalog, for the new versions. I mean, that says everything about her power in this industry, because most of the time, catalog is where everybody, like a lot of these labels are making all of their money off of catalog. Nobody's really listening to the new records as much as they're going in and all these playlists and making old songs. And the fact that she's able to get them switched out for her new versions is incredible. Like, she's a very smart lady,
Yeah, totally. It's funny because we're used to, when we hear people re-record their life's work, like you mentioned that Paula Cole thing, it's often a thing of, defeat. It's something that people do when they're down in their luck. The 70s band Sweet, who I loved. And for years, anytime you saw a Sweet record, it was them re-recording. I mean, they must have re-recorded their hits many times under the name Sweet. You remember stuff like, when Modern English redid I Melt With You 90, because there was something about the 82 version that they didn't like, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they re-recorded it for Burger King commercial. So they could just do the humming, like the And it was the kind of thing you don't associate that with being a power move. You know what I mean? Something you don't expect from somebody who is the biggest pop star in the world and presumably has other things to do with their time. But this turned out to be something that engaged people emotionally because a lot of people feel like it's something that you do. And as you go into your 30s, you look back on the people that you've been before, the things that you believed in before, and how they've changed over time.
See, what I think is like, what I thought was really, I mean, she disappeared for like a long period. Not disappeared. I mean, she was living in London. It's not like she went into a nunnery somewhere. And it's really, not to get into her psyche, it's really interesting that she goes from this very quiet, in another country relationship to dating like, what's his face? What's his name? Travis Kelce. Yeah, like, and I feel like that is also a very strange flex. I'm not saying that they don't really love each other, though. I don't know. There's something about him that annoys the absolute crap. There are people that don't annoy the crap out of me, Rob. I swear to God. I swear to God, you're one, Courtney. But there's just something about him. He just seems like he's liking this a little bit too much. But then again, he is famous too. It's not like she's.
Well, and
but it seems.
I mean, that's so interesting in itself that this is really the first time she's had a boyfriend who's really, really into the role of Taylor Swift's boyfriend. He hams it up, and that's really different, and it's really fun, and that he's, you know, independently famous and independently rich in his own field. It's kind of great.
He enjoys being Mr. Swift.
Yeah.
Whereas I would imagine. Well, she's had horrible taste in men. Whenever I think I've had horrible boyfriends, I just go, oh, my God, John Mayer? Or is that Jessica Simpson?
That was Jessica Simpson.
Oh, okay. Who else was it horrible? Well, she did. Oh,
that guy from the Matt Healy. It was the Matt Healy
that was horrible.
moment.
But that's your transit. Every girl has to go out with a junkie. Every girl has to go out with a junkie. You have to. It's part of the cred. You have to go out with a guy who's needy and a junkie. Alleged. No, he's not alleged. He was. Okay, there was like many chapters in this about her and Harry Styles. Please talk about that because that fascinates me, their connection.
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, we love, Courtney, you mentioned the drama and the thing of hearing two songwriters who've had a relationship and then they write songs about their relationship from their opposite perspectives. That's a very beautiful thing when it happens, especially when they're both really, really great at it. So it's funny that this inspired in these independently great singer-songwriters, this back and forth mode. I just love when that happens. I love when Joni Mitchell and James Taylor are doing records. She sings about his suspenders and makes fun of his suspenders, so he wears them on an album cover and stuff like that. To me, there's something also so hip hop about that. It goes back to, you think of Kool Moe Dee in his album cover with his Jeep where he's got LL Cool J's hat under his front wheel and stuff like that. That something very, very hip hop about that. I just love it.
And also, it's just like it was just almost like too much beauty and pop shine in one room for, her and Harry. Well, I'm somewhat obsessed with Harry Styles. Not obsessed. I like Harry Styles.
There's a lot to be obsessed with. He's obsessible for sure.
No, he's very. I do like him. All right, let me ask you a question. Does she? I know she works with a lot of collaborators. This is the way people write these days. How much of the writing is her? How much of the production is her? And that's not a diss to say it's not all her, but
no, it's her. I mean, you can't say that there aren't consistent tropes that go through her songwriting, no matter who she's working with. Some of her collaborators bring out different sides of her, but I feel like it's all her. I mean, Jack Antonoff, I think he's someone who adapts to his artists when he collaborates. But you look at, the folklore and Evermore especially, you can't really tell who her collaborators are. You can't really tell the Aaron Dessner songs from the Jack Antonoff songs without a score sheet, because she's got a very clear idea of the songs that she's writing, the story she wants to tell, and how she wants it to sound. She really wanted that sort of folk sound. And so I think it's all her. I think she's got a very extreme songwriting sensibility.
And I also think the National, or those two guys in the National, are not somebody, they weren't really, okay, they're not a group I like, but they were not really, you couldn't sit there and go, oh, that's the Dresser Brothers sound. Whereas Antonoff, there is a sound. Even though he adapts. Max Martin, for sure, there is a something Max Martin brings to his stuff. So I think that those two records may have worked because, like you said, they were so out of left field, but we were all out of left field during quarantine. And
Yeah.
also, because, we were all like, what the hell? And those are the only two records of hers, that and not the last four records of hers, the only records of hers I've listened to all the way through. Because I had the time and the sort of focus, I guess, to do it. But
Lover is a great album. I thought Lover was really a great album. I thought, to me, it's interesting to see Tortured, end up with an Album of the Year nomination, because I don't think it's her strongest work. I really don't. And I thought The Reputation was really strong work. And that was the album where the Grammys were like mad at her or something, because she got like no nominations for that record. It did not get an Album of the Year nom. And now everybody's waiting, because I want to say today might be the anniversary of the release of Reputation. I believe it came around this time.
That's why we have it. That's why it's a national holiday today, and we all have the day off.
And everybody is waiting for that re-record, because there's only two left: Reputation and then her debut album. And so the fans keep, because she's the Easter egg queen, they keep thinking that there's some giant Reputation announcement coming, but it's not come yet.
Yeah, that's one people are waiting for. And of course, she's on the Eras tour, and every time she does one of those shows, fans are watching the grainy little live streams around the world, including me, absolutely including me. And everybody is waiting to see what tonight's surprise songs are going to be, because she does these really wild mashups.
I mean, it's like mind-blowing just on that level.
Yeah.
The kind of, it's like a maze, but it's mind-blowing on that level that she, at her age, which is younger than all of us, that's for sure, has that much of a catalog that she could do a 3-hour show and still be pulling songs out from nowhere. I mean, it's that, to me, just sort of the sheer volume of it. And none of them are really disposable. You might not like them, but they're all valid. It's all valid stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. And that people are waiting for Reputation. I mean, something I love about Reputation, to me, okay, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up when Prince was the standard of the pop star that everybody wanted to be, not just in terms of his musical brilliance, which nobody could touch, but the fact that he just did not want to repeat obvious successes.
Right.
And I thought when 1989 came out, I was a teenager, I thought, this is the best album ever. I hope he keeps doing this. And of course, the next one
1999, you mean 1999.
1989. Oh, sorry, that's hers. Yes.
It's okay. I was like, wait a minute. He recorded a Taylor Swift record too.
Yeah, exactly. But then Purple Rain, which was totally different. And then after Purple Rain, he comes up with Around the World in a Day.
I love that album.
I love that album too.
I love that. It was psychedelic and weird, and I love that album.
Yeah. And then he goes on to Parade. He's never going to do the same thing twice. And he made everybody else look really kind of boring. Just, people were doing a slightly better version of what I did last year. And Prince was like, I'm never going to be that type of pop music. And he never was. And I think she aspires to that. She's often talked about Prince as one of her big influences. And to me, it seems like she goes for that spirit of Prince, where all the different albums have different personalities in themselves.
Does she risk?
Well, Amy has a thing. Amy has a thing.
I have a thing. Hold on.
Because
wait a minute. I have to adjust myself with my thing. Hold on.
Amy's thing with her is, yes, I think that she can really write a song, but it drives her crazy that all her songs seem to be written around the subject of men and not really outside of the spectrum.
Well, I'm a little past that now. I've gotten a little more, because in defense of that, when you're that age, your life is defined by the stupid guys you go out with. I mean, it really kind of is. I don't think she's an amazing singer. Are you going to hate me for that, Rob? That she's not, but you've seen her live. So I don't think she's the greatest singer of our time, but I guess it doesn't matter because she makes you feel it, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's putting the songs across. I think she's a great singer. I love, especially she's gotten better in her 30s, which is why, I mean, something I love about her re-record Taylor version project is that she just sings these songs better than she did back when she wrote them. So, especially with Fearless, there are songs where her voice has gotten strong, tough, weathered enough to really deliver these songs the way they always should have been. So I like those re-records from that era a lot better.
She's lived. I mean, we're very different. Obviously, I hope, for Christ's sakes, in our 30s. I mean, my 30s were very different since I was like, a mom. But yeah, they're very, very different. Where does she go? I mean, it sounds so crazy. It's like, where does she go from here? Courtney and I were discussing the Grammys, and on one hand, she's almost like a lock to get a Grammy, but on the other hand, it's sort of, this is not her best record, and it's seen as she's sort of like the easy choice, though all hell would break loose, I guess, if she does get it. But where does she go from here? I mean, it seems like she does no wrong at this point.
She will keep going. We don't know what she's going to do next, but again, it's like Prince. We know that it's going to be the opposite of the sensible, rational move, right? She never makes the album she should make, and she always goes counter to that, and she's always proven right by that. It's funny, with Courtney was saying about Reputation. I love that one too. I love that album, and people forget how that was an album that people hated at the time. Now everybody claims to like it. I'm like,
no, now it's like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. And it was like, you guys are really playing yourselves. You hated this record when it came out.
Which one was Reputation?
Reputation's Ready for It. Delicate, which is one of her best songs to me. New Year's Day, which is gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah.
I only know 3 songs of hers, right?
Look What You Made Me Do. Look What You Made Me Do is a full bop. I'm like, get it, Taylor. Come on, revenge. Revenge.
I am like one of those people who is like, guess what song of hers I like
Don't
the best?
Blame Me. Don't Blame Me is fucking amazing.
No, I Knew You Were Trouble. I think that's a perfect song.
No, mine is We Are Never, Ever, Ever Getting Back Together. That's the one older song that whenever I ever hear that, I would find myself just bopping. I love that.
No, I love We Are because it's got, I don't know, that's the one you're supposed to like, right? That's the cool version. That's the cool song you're supposed to like. It's like, I don't know. I really like that song a lot, but I hate the video, I will say, because I don't believe that Taylor Swift would end up in the mud dumped by a guy who looks like that. But that's just me. Maybe I think better of it.
I Knew You Were Trouble is a great song. It ties in with what you were saying before about every girl dates one of each genre, really. So like that. I Knew You Were Trouble is a song about, I love
to have that. You have to have that. The only difference is when men do it, men like crazy, and that's considered okay. When women date crazy, I'm sorry, let's have a generalization. But
men like crazy. Do you know me and my friends? I'm always talking about he's like, I know she's nuts, but I really like. I'm like, why? Why do you like this?
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Until they realize
and girls like bad. You like guys who are just
in the beginning,
pieces of shit. You find it exciting. And then you realize
creative pieces.
Then you start to realize this shit smells and you're like, this is kind of funky. You think?
Yeah.
Looking for a project. A girl likes a project. Looking for a project. A girl likes a project.
Not anymore. That's
knowing her. Do you think she's working on a new album somewhere while she's been on this tour? Because she can't sit down. She'll put out 6 albums in 3 years.
Yeah, I think she will do that. I think she's already doing that. Honestly, it blew my mind that she released this album while she's in the middle of the Eras Tour, the biggest stadium tour in history. And I'm like, this is what you do in your spare time. You've got, you're doing this massive tour, and in your spare time, you're recording, 30 new songs. It's just kind of mind blowing.
And then it was Midnights, because I feel like it did not come that long after Midnights. It was Midnights, and next thing you know, there was a new album.
Yeah, Midnights was just 2 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah, it was not that long ago. And then, of course, this is a complete sidebar, but I thought about it. Did you read our friend Rob Tannenbaum's interview with Brian Ferry, like the 10 questions for Brian Ferry, where he said he liked the Kansas City Chiefs outfits
No.
Yeah, it's great. He said he referred to them as their outfits, which is why Brian Ferry is the greatest human being in the world, because only Brian Ferry could get away with calling football players outfits. Like they were bespoke. But I
And
feel
Taylor
like
was at the game yesterday, knowing when the
What?
camera was on her. Like, I love it. They get her. She stands up. She claps. She gives you the,
dresses-
oh my God. She gives you the whole
dresses
thing.
dresses like that to go to a football game.
With the
I'm
most
sorry.
perfect red lip, though. Her lip is always perfect, perfectly red, never a smudge. I'm like, it is really impressive just how much you are aware of the camera being on you every single second that you're in public. I'm amazed by her ability to
She has
always
somebody
not
under
get
the
caught
seat.
wrong. You always get people with food in their mouth, not her. She's never caught wrong.
Maybe she doesn't eat. Have you considered that? Maybe there's a Rob. Have you ever interviewed her?
No, I've never interviewed her. Nope.
Seriously,
Yeah.
Rob, you need to. You're Rob.
I thought you've
Sheffield.
interviewed everybody. I just knew you were going to be like, well, you know, the 3 times that I've interviewed her.
But you've been to her house, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've met her and talked to her, but not in a formal interview setting.
Just
Which
at her
you like?
house. Just her
Just at her
house.
house. Which house? Have you ever been to?
She
Just
she
at her
wasn't at her
house.
house. She wasn't at her house when she was there. It was a thing where when she was for a couple albums there, when she was releasing an album, I would go to her apartment to hear it just because it was the only place that she knew for a fact there wouldn't be any hidden microphones. So it was the only place she could count on for security.
I've seen
So
her
it's like,
house
just
in
come on
Rhode
over to
Island.
the house. I'm right downtown, sweetie. Just come on, ring the bell. Come on out.
Have you seen the house in Rhode Island? Have you ever been there?
No.
Oh, it's my best friend lives in Stonington, Connecticut, so it's right across the border. And if you stand at a certain point at the sound, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, that's her house." And so one day we were like driving around, and there was like, "Oh yeah, this is her house because it's the one with security guards outside." It's a spectacular. It's Watch Hill is a very, very fancy pants neighborhood, but yeah, that's her house there. What do you think? So we asked you. She doesn't do a lot of collaborations, does she?
Well, not in terms of features. She doesn't do a lot of those. She did the Zayn Malik one, the formal duet, but she doesn't do a lot of those.
But the song she's nominated for is the one with
Fortnite.
the other one. Yeah, with
Post Malone.
Explain him to us, please, quickly. Please explain Post Malone to me, Rob.
He's not going to be your kind of thing, Amy.
I know.
You can put him in any.
I want to be what the kids are liking.
Yeah, but Post Malone is someone that the kids are into, but it's not going to be your kind of thing. He's in his Nashville era right now, and he's very good at his Nashville era. I think he should continue in his Nashville era. I think this is. I love a lot of different modes that he has.
I do like You know what's really interesting, and then we'll. What's really interesting is that Taylor starts in country and then blows up and becomes this pop phenomenon, and now everybody else is going to country, and it's almost like she is like been there, done that. I mean, is there a space for her to make that kind of record, or is Nashville just kind of done with her?
No, Nashville is always happy to take her back. They'll always have her at the award shows. It's why she didn't burn any bridges with that audience or with that music scene. So she can go back anytime she likes. She could try anything she likes. She has a way of making herself felt with any kind of collaborator. And it's really kind of amazing that she is someone who is very good at adapting to other genres on their terms. Which is just very unusual. But I think if she does another country record, she will be welcome back in that department. But she could go anywhere. She could make a ska record.
If she made another country record, I think it would absolutely be huge because her audience now is an audience that's going wherever she takes them. And if she went back to country, her full fan base would go back to country with her because her audience loves all of those records, right? It's not
politically. She's way more. She is, not to get heavy. She's not a Trumper, and Nashville.
I think that she right now is Teflon. I think she's Teflon because she did what she did, but she doesn't keep talking about politics. She's made her point. There may be people who will never listen. You didn't hear anybody having backlash being like, we're ripping up our Taylor Swift tickets. She endorsed Kamala Harris, and I'm not. No one said that. No one said that. Everybody was still trying to pay thousands of dollars to get an Eras ticket. You know,
very true.
I mean?
Totally
So
true.
she is Teflon right now. If she could go back and make a solid country album, country radio would love it. Let's face it, that's people tuning in to listen. She shows up to their country award shows. Those are ratings through the roof. She is the woman of the moment. She can do it. The only thing I think she couldn't do right now would be an R&B record. That might people would
never do
people would be ready to
no,
choke her and be like, I don't know what you're trying to do here.
No.
But she could go back to country. She could stay in pop. You know, I also think that she can let people miss her and maybe take a break, take off for 2 years, come back and have really solid something to say. But she doesn't seem to like to take long breaks, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's weird. She just does not like it. That's the concept of me time is very alien to her.
Once she has kids, if she decides to have kids, she'll want to get back on the road to get away from those goddamn kids. Not that I don't love my son, but
well, no,
Rob,
the rich ladies take the kids,
the nannies, they take everybody with them
because they're on a private jet. Everybody goes with them.
They're not dragging their child with them to interviews because they couldn't find a babysitter and sticking him with the assistant and going, "Can you help him with his math homework?" I've heard people do that, not me, of course, but I've heard about it. Rob, what are you listening to these days outside of Taylor? Of course,
I love that MJ Lenderman album.
Okay, you're the second. Okay. Jan Uhelski was on our show and she was raving about him. So now I got to listen to it. Okay. Now I got to listen to it. Was he on Saturday Night Live this weekend? Is that who was on?
No, it was like McGee or something like that.
McGee or something like that. All right. I'm going to listen to that because two people whose taste I trust are into it. So I will listen to that. All right. Who else?
I haven't stopped playing that SZA record every day. That's an everyday one.
Yeah. It's such a great album. It really
is a great. And she's a movie star now.
Amazing.
She's in a movie with Keke Palmer, right?
She is coming in. It comes out in January, and she's working on new music. I believe she's working on music.
Courtney. All right. So whenever Courtney discusses what he's listening to, it has to be prefaced by for some reason. So. Courtney, for some reason, what are you listening to?
All weekend, I've been listening to Lisa Stansfield.
Oh,
wow!
The first 3 albums.
I interviewed her. Boy, talk about somebody whose career got screwed by Clive Davis. He totally iced her out, man. Those are great records. Those are absolutely great records. Anything else?
Oh, and Fanny. I got back in my Fanny bag. I've been listening to Fanny.
A fanny bag, that's an actual thing. Like
and then I actually went into my Joan Armour trading section over the weekend, and I was listening to a bunch of Joan Armour trading.
Courtney listens. His motto is questionable vocals, high production, but only during the summer months.
Only during the summer months.
In the winter months when we're cocooning,
I go for talent.
He wants people who can actually sing. I don't know what I listened to this weekend.
Meelan Farmer. Did you listen to Meelan?
Yeah, Meelan Farmer. No, that's not summer, though. It's basically is summer out. I'm still kind of listening to a lot of Iggy. I'm going back to the Iggy records I didn't listen to a lot. I'm trying to get in touch with, and I know, Brian Ferry is not my all-time favorite singer of all time, but I have just been really diving into it. Taxi, because I never really listened to Taxi before, his covers records. And this is at the point of his career where he's singing. Yeah. But that's okay. He can get away with it. All right. I am going to promo the book comes out tomorrow, which is the 12th, right? And it's been getting great reviews.
November 12th, the 3rd anniversary of Red, Taylor's version.
Okay, look at you. All right, so the book is called Heartbreak is the National Anthem. Who came up with that title? Obviously you did. Is that a lyric?
I did,
of hers,
Yeah, it's from one of my favorite songs, New Romantics, which is one of her 80s synth pop new wave bangers. I just love that song. I love how she begins, we're so bored, which is so great. I mean, that's one emotion that she just does not seem to take personally. It's just a very beautiful song about crying on the dance floor. We've all been there.
And I knew it was right.
Heartbreak.
Yesterday was the anniversary of Reputation. It came out November 10th, 2017.
Yeah.
Is that why Prospect Park burst into flames this weekend?
I mean, because they just couldn't. They were like the Reputation era. We need Taylor's version. We need
to set everything on fire. All right, Heartbreak is the national anthem. How Taylor Swift reinvent. I really do like the book design. Yeah, I do this all the time. I hold the book up for a show that's audio. Is the national.
I mean, and you even have the cover images from the Eras tour. I feel like you were literally writing and printing this book up until. But then again, that tour's been going on for 17 years. You know what I mean? I feel like she started that tour. I was 3 when she started that tour.
He's got the freaking chronology year by. He's up to 2024. He stops it in April for the new album. I mean, come on, this man's not fucking around. Rob Sheffield, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Show. Oh my gosh, what a joy.
Thank you. We like to bring joy into our sad world. Really good luck with the book. Send us any kind of links to the book. We will put it up on our page.
Awesome.
And as the kids say, appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
And as the other kids say, you know what it is. It's ImmaLetYouFinish on the Pantheon Podcast Network. You love us. We love you. We're out. We'll see you next week. Bye.